Thousands gather in Tehran. Coffins line the streets, and Iran's protest crisis enters another tense chapter. A mass funeral ceremony has begun in Iran's capital, Tehran, for more than 100 members of the security forces and other people the state calls martyrs. The ceremony comes after weeks of nationwide protests that have shaken the Islamic Republic. State television says thousands of mourners attended the event, waving Iranian flags as prayers were read outside Tehran University. Images show large crowds gathered to honor those killed during the unrest. Iranian authorities say the deaths were caused by rioters, claiming dozens of security personnel and civilians were killed. But human rights groups paint a very different picture, saying thousands of protesters may have been killed during a violent crackdown by security forces. The funeral highlights the deep divide over what is happening inside Iran and who is responsible for the bloodshed. As the government honors its dead, families of protesters continue to search for answers. With emotions running high and protests ongoing, Iran remains on edge, and the world is watching closely to see what comes next. Iran's unrest turns deadly in a new and shocking way. An IRGC colonel has been beaten to death by anti-regime protesters, marking a dramatic escalation in the country's rapidly spiraling crisis. The killing underscores how Iran's streets are no longer just scenes of protest, but battlegrounds of revenge, rage, and collapse of control. The victim, IRGC Colonel Mahdi Rahimi, was reportedly responsible for ordering troops to open fire on protesters in the western town of Mashhad on January 3rd, killing around 10 people. Survivors later identified his residence. Protesters tracked him down and carried out what activists describe as a retaliatory killing. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi rejected the idea that the unrest constitutes protests at all. Instead, he labeled it a terrorist war, claiming armed groups are targeting police stations, government buildings, and businesses. He says authorities possess audio recordings allegedly ordering militants to fire on civilians and security forces, claims activists strongly dispute. Rights groups paint a grim picture. Activists say at least 544 people have been killed since demonstrations began, with more than 10,600 detained in just 2 weeks. Hospitals across Iran are reportedly overwhelmed, emergency rooms flooded, corridors packed, and morgues full as casualties continue to rise. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has struck a defiant tone, insisting the Islamic Republic will not back down. Yet protests have grown into the largest demonstrations in years, with crowds chanting "death to the dictator" and torching government buildings in major cities. As unrest surged, authorities imposed a near-total internet shutdown. Monitoring group NetBlocks says Iran went offline for more than 12 hours, a move aimed at suppressing coordination and limiting outside visibility amid fears of hidden massacres. The protests erupted in late December, driven by economic collapse, hyperinflation, a crashing rial, and soaring food and fuel prices. What began as merchant strikes in Tehran's Grand Bazaar quickly spread to all 31 provinces, morphing into open calls for regime change. With protesters openly demanding an end to clerical rule and retaliatory violence now claiming senior security figures, Iran faces one of the gravest challenges in its modern history. The death of an IRGC colonel signals a dangerous turning point, one where fear has shifted sides and the regime's grip is visibly slipping.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.